tea prices rose about 1.3% to close at $3.09 a kilogram at the auction in Mombasa. The country is one of the biggest producers of black tea. Have we seen any impact on these agricultural counters such as Sasini, which was the most actively traded stock this week?
Yes, definitely agricultural stocks have been suffering a lot because of the nature of agriculture in the country, because of the weather patterns and all, but the prices, especially for tea, have been definitely impacting positively on some of these farms, especially Sasini, which has been fairly priced in the market over the recent past, and behaving the way it was behaving today. The demand shows that investors are already seeing value in it.
Safaricom, which was also very vibrant last week, seems to have hit a resistance level. We saw investors booking gains from what they made last week of highs of 5.15 shillings. As we get into the next week, is it likely to keep dragging the market down as it has done this week, or do you expect it to go up as we go into next week?
Well, the performance of Safaricom was very impressive, especially due to the fact that it has really been trading at the suboptimal levels below issue price for a very long time, and so the performance of it going up was very, very impressive, and most of the investors were impressed by that, and foreign investors have been the ones who have been very interested in that counter for over the long while, and for now we are not seeing so much activity from them, and because of that we are seeing a lot of supply, and as you mentioned, we are seeing some bit of profit taking, which is going to affect the share in that we are going to still continue seeing a lot of supply, which is depressing the share, but hopefully we are going to still remain high between 4 shillings and 4 shillings and 10 cents at the lowest.
It seems the bond market have had quite an upswing this week. We've seen the bonds totaling about 4 billion transacted during the week. Just today, the CEO of the Nairobi Stock Exchange was interviewed in Abuja. He says there's a bond planning to be issued by the International Finance Corporation of about 3 billion shillings. What impact do you think this will have on investor interest, specifically because we've seen the government really take a forward step in terms of deepening the capital markets in the bond markets region?
Well, that's a very good observation, because first of all, recently we have been able to launch the listing of all the bonds that are there in our market currently, and seeing even foreigners like the IFC thinking about listing bonds in our market is very, very impressive and encouraging for now, and especially with the hit that the equities have been suffering, especially for most of this year and part of last year. We have been seeing a lot of capital flight, and it's providing a very, very good shelter base for some of the investors who still have money and they're looking for somewhere they can be able to get some bit of gains, and so as a result of that, we're going to still continue seeing a lot of investment, especially in the bond market, because of the stability, and definitely with having IFC coming in and other institutional clients who are also thinking about issuing bonds, we're going to continue seeing a lot of activity on that front.
Now, despite the low turnover in the equities market, analysts have described the market as a buyer's market. What sectors are you looking at in terms of buying?
Well, looking at the way, especially comparing with where we were last year and where we are now, it's still a relatively good buyer's market, mainly because there's a lot of optimism because of the coming year. People are thinking we've had rains, the second half of the year, basically in terms of tourism, things have been looking up and very, very positive, and hopefully we're looking at marking some very good gains, especially in some of the sectors like the financials, which have been relatively resilient, especially over this period, and you're hoping that they're going to continue sustaining the performance. Also, the industrials are some of the counters to look at. Kenya Power and Lighting, which have been recording very, very good gains. Some counters like Kabasid, which though right now is trading X all, is still a very promising counter because of the nature of the industrial sector that they perform in.
The finance minister today also announced that this year the economy might grow by about 2.5%. That's much higher than we saw last year at 1.7%. Do you think this news will have a positive impact on the markets as we go forward?
Well, most of the investors were optimistic about us performing like 4% and beyond, but 2.5% is still something which can take home with, and hopefully work harder to be able to improve, especially for the rest of the year, though the gloomy outlook that we are receiving from some of the other fund managers who are reporting something like 2% as well as such projections is still very, very positive and very encouraging. And because of the Kenyan resilient aspect and also the good news of the weather patterns which have been positive as well as tourism, we are hoping that come next year we'll be able to do something much more better than that.